Welcome to this week's edition of the Dakota Angler 2-Minute Fishing Report. Well, when it comes to weather, I guess really the only thing that we've had to deal with for the past week to 2 weeks to 3 weeks has been the wind. We haven't had any rain around the area, and that's caused a lot of concern around the area, to say the least, as we head into the fall, into the winter months. But right now, it doesn't look like we're going to be seeing any rain anytime soon. So we're going to be dealing with these periodic, days with wind here and there. And warmer temperatures. We got the cold nights or the cooler nights, temperatures down in the 30s and lower 40s. And that's helped water temperatures drop somewhat, but then it's offset by the warming temperatures during the day. As far as the bite is concerned around the area, it's been up and down, depending on the weather, depending on what's going on in that area lake. But up in the northeastern part of the state, the lakes that produce walleyes continue to be some of the same ones that we've talked about, such as Bitter. Bitter's just been a fish factory this summer. The biggest concern right now, or issue that you have to have with the Bitter, is just that you have to sort. You're going to catch plenty of fish, but you have to sort to find your keepers. Other lakes that produce walleyes this past week include Opitz, Wabae, Goose, Hazelton, Big Stone, a few being caught there. Also Dry Lake by Clark, and that bite has definitely tapered off. North and South Rush, as well as Indian Springs. And when I say Indian Springs, boy, that bite has really dropped off the past couple of weeks, if it ever really took off during the entire summer. But guys are still catching a fish or two on their trip, depending on the day. Down in the southeastern part of the state, the lakes that produce walleyes this past week included Dry Lake by Willow Lake, Thompson, 81 Ponds, a few being caught at Sinai, Ponset, as well as Whitewood, and that bite's kind of tapered off there. And then also Madison, Twin, and remember Twin is the trophy lakes, and then also Island and Vermilion. And the one other lake that we shouldn't mention is Wahi. The reservoir up there is really starting to take off with larger fish. And how guys are catching those larger fish are by those lures that you see right behind me, the Reapers, as well as the Rapala deep Husky jerks have been working really well. So again, make sure it is Reaper season. Make sure you get your order in for all our nice custom colors that we have on hand here. Now, how else are people catching the walleyes on area lakes? A lot of people are snap jigging. That seems to be where people are coming away with some of the nicer fish, is by utilizing snap jigging. Some of the jigs that they're using is the Rapala Jig and Wrap, the Moonshine Shiver Minnows, and also the Acme Hyper Rattles all have produced some nice fish. Other people are trolling with crankbaits, the Selma Hornets, and then also people are still using bottom bouncers with crawlers out there and coming away with some decent fish as well. Now, the panfish bite around the area, especially the perch bite, is still there. It hasn't really taken completely off yet because of those warmer water temperatures. The lakes that produce perch include Big Stone, Pickerel, also Dry Lake by Florence. That bite has tapered off quite a bit. Other dry lakes, such as Willow Lake and Clark, continue to produce a few perch. And then Opitz, Thompson, Whitewood, Madison, and then also 81 Ponds. As far as the bluegill bite is concerned, Big Stone continues to be the place to be. Other lakes include Buffalo and Vermilion, and then also the Iowa Great Lakes. Also crappie, there are a few being caught around the area. Thompson, also Lake Henry, and just northwest of Thompson, or right connected to Thompson. We've been catching a few nice crappie there, and then also Dry Lake by Willow Lake. Now, what have people been doing to catch the panfish? Really nothing that significant. I mean, underneath the slip bobber with a jig, a tungsten jig has worked really well with a minnow or even a waxworm or a maggot. And then other, presentations have been mainly chain lures, such as, Pilkies, Haleys, and then also the rocker jig from VMC. All have been really producing some nice panfish of late. In this week's edition of Todd's Tackle Tips, we're going to talk about batteries, mainly the differences between a lead-acid battery and a lithium battery. And quite honestly, folks, I'm surprised that we haven't talked about this in years past. But as the popularity of lithium batteries continue to increase, and as we head into ice fishing season, I thought it'd be appropriate to talk about now, as well as the fact that James Holst will be joining us at the Ice Institute November 8th through the 10th to talk about this very topic. He's with Norsk Batteries. He's going to talk about the advantages of going lithium, but not to try to convince you to go to lithium, but to show why lithium is much better for you, especially when you're dealing with these more advanced electronics that we're dealing with today compared to, let's say, 10 or 15 years ago. Plus, they're going to be offered at an unbelievable price. When we're talking about marine batteries, they're going to be offered at a price at the Institute that you're not going to see anyplace else, but you have to buy it there in James's seminar. You don't have to take it with you, but you need to purchase it at that point in time. So let's dive into it. Let's talk about some of the differences about between lithium as well as lead acid batteries. Obviously, the first thing is going to be price. Now, as James will tell you, when it comes to lithium batteries, there's going to be a good, better, and best, 3 different levels. And when you're talking about best, it's going to be the higher end. It's going to be a higher price, but it's going to be a better quality battery, offering you a better warranty. When you're talking about, good, you're going to get what you pay for, as you do with everything else. So the main thing is it's going to be a little bit higher price than what you would typically pay for a lead acid battery. But overall, it's going to end up saving you money in the lifetime of that battery. And most of the batteries, such as the ones we sell here in Norsk, and we also sell AMP, but with Norsk, you're getting a 10-year warranty for that marine battery. You're not going to find that with any type of lead acid battery. Now, let's talk about the lifespan of a battery. Typically, again, with a lead acid marine battery, you're going to get about 400 charges out of the life cycle of that battery. When you compare that to a lithium battery, you got about 4,000 charges out of the life cycle of that battery. So you can see a dramatic difference between the two right then and there. Plus, the main thing that is really concerning, or things that I really worry about, and I think a lot of people should start to worry about that, if you have these more advanced electronics, they need to have a consistent high voltage. And that's the main difference between a lithium and a lead acid battery. These electronics will perform better at a higher voltage. So a lithium battery typically will have a 14.8 volt, some are different obviously, compared to a 12 volt, this is an 8 amp battery, but a marine battery, 12 volt, again, they perform better with a higher voltage, and that's what you're going to get with the lithium batteries. Now the other thing is going to be a more consistent voltage drain, and I'm not going to say drain in a bad way as far as lithium is concerned, but it's going to be a more consistent voltage when you're hooked up to a lithium battery. The minute you start drawing a current from a lead acid battery, that voltage drops from 12 to 11.8 to 11.5 to 11, and as that battery starts to, the charge really starts to drain, that voltage is down to near nothing, where your electronics may just shut off completely or will perform so poor that you'll become frustrated with it, and you may actually say, well, it's, something's wrong with the unit. I'm getting too much interference. That's what you're not going to see with a lithium battery. A lithium battery is going to be a more consistent voltage draw from that battery all the time. In other words, if it's 14.8 volt battery, that's where it's going to stay at throughout the life cycle of that battery. So it's going to stay high end all throughout the lifespan of that battery. The last thing we want to talk about is how the batteries discharge. When it comes to a lead acid battery, a lot of people have referred to memory. A lot of times people will say, well, you can't let it get down to 0 because it will have memory. It's very true. If you let this lead acid battery go down to less than 50% charge, you've done damage to that battery. Same thing with a marine lead acid battery. Less than 50%, you've done damage to that battery, and that battery will not last as long as it otherwise would. It's not designed to do that. It's designed to stay, have a charge with it all the time. That's why when you compare it to a starter battery, whether you got a boat or a vehicle, if you have an alternator, it's keeping a charge to that battery and keeping it at that level. So it's not discharging at a rate that you would have, let's say, compared to an ice fishing unit. So when you compare that to a lithium battery, that lithium battery doesn't care if you get down to 0. If you get down to 0% charge, that's fine. You just charge it up and you're ready to go the next time. So again, the nice thing about this is that with the lead acid battery, you get down to less than 50%, you've done damage, you're going to have to replace that battery within, let's say, 1 to 2 years. That's why all of you come in to buy one of these from us throughout the entire year, because you've done damage to this battery the previous year. The lithium batteries don't care whatsoever. So again, another advantage of why to go to lithium. There's going to be numerous other advantages to go to lithium as well, but the nice thing about it is James Holst will be here November 8th through the 10th to talk about that, to answer your questions. You don't need to hear it from me. You can hear it directly from the horse's mouth. He'll be here offering you some unbelievable prices and answering your questions that you may have about lithium batteries or even lead acid batteries. Not to convince you to buy it, to make you more informed, and that's the purpose of the Ice Institute. So again, James will be here November 8th and 9th. He'll do a seminar the evening of the Friday evening, and then also Saturday right around noon. So again, those batteries, the marine batteries, they're all brand new from Norsk, and they're going to be offered at an unbelievable Dakota Angler Ice Institute price. So take advantage of it. Invite your families and invite your family and friends, because this is a seminar you're not going to want to miss. And now it's time to take a look at a few photos that you sent in to me this past week. And remember, folks, if you'd like your photo included in next week's version of the 2-Minute Fishing Report, all you have to do is send it to me, and you can send it to todd@dakotaangler.com. And before we end this week's report, I want to remind you to mark your calendars for the Dakota Angler Ice Institute at the Sioux Falls Arena Convention Center, November 8th through the 10th. Folks, it's an ice fishing show like none other. You're going to have fantastic deals, great seminars, just an all-around great event, and you're not going to want to miss it. Again, November 8th through the 10th at the Sioux Falls Arena Convention Center, $7 per day or $15 for the weekend. Plus, on Sunday, we'll call it Veterans Day, even though that's on Monday, but we're going to have a special day for all veterans. So make sure you bring your veteran friend, bring yourself if you're a veteran, or anyone else that you know is a veteran, bring them on Sunday because they'll get in cheaper. Plus, we'll have some special surprises for them throughout the entire day. So again, the Dakota Angler Ice Institute, November 8th through the 10th. Well, folks, that's this week's version of the 2-Minute Fishing Report. For Dakota Angler, I'm the owner, Todd Heitkamp, and as we say around here, fish on! We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Stay healthy and always stay safe.